Welcome back to Uncovered, where I give you a rapid-fire rundown of the latest titles added to Xbox Game Pass that I won't be covering in First 15. As a reminder, this isn't a ranking or a review of each game, I'm just telling you what's new. So, getting straight into it, we've got Forza Motorsport Standard Edition. This is technically the 8th game in the series, but it's also a bit of a reboot for the Motorsport subset of the franchise. All I know from this is that it has not been well received at all. There have been complaints about optimization, lots of crashing and bugs, the gameplay itself being a bit repetitive and grindy, issues with the AI awareness on the track. Basically, it seems like anything you could think of to complain about with a racing game, it has been complained about with this one for both console and PC. Now, I'm personally a huge fan of the Forza series. I don't remember the last one that I played, but I was so obsessed with it, I even used to make skins for people's cars. So when I say that I was a genuine fan of the series, I just don't play racing games anymore, which means I haven't played this. So if you were looking forward to this, it's just a word of caution. Be wary that there may or may not be some issues. Next, we've got Warhammer 40k Darktide. Unlike Forza, I was never somebody who was into Warhammer, but Darktide is basically kind of the next iteration in the series. It does have crossplay between platforms, though keep in mind that if you're on Steam, you can't opt out of that. I have seen some mixed reviews, and a lot of those seem to be focused less on the game and more on the way that microtransactions are handled, especially on Steam versus Xbox, which seems to have more favorable rewards. Now again, I can't speak to that, having not played that. In fact, because Uncovered is going to be listing games that are newly released, most of the time I won't have played any of them. So it's really just, am I aware of the franchise and me letting you know like what people who have played the game so far have said. So this is the majority of the feedback I've seen, that there are issues with the game's economy, not so much with the way the game actually plays. So if you're a fan of 40k and you were looking forward to Darktide, now you can hop in for free with Game Pass. Next, we've got Like a Dragon Ean, and I apologize if I sound like I'm all over the place, but if you aren't aware, this is a part of the Yakuza franchise, which was a really long-standing action-adventure, crime drama sort of beat-em-up, similar to Sleeping Dogs, which I really loved. Like a Dragon released in 2020, and that was the 7th game of the franchise, but it was the first iteration of the franchise to be designed more like a turn-based RPG, and a lot of people love that. So now we have Like a Dragon Ean, which is also more of an RPG style game, only in this case, it takes the series back to the 1860s, so there's going to be samurai and all kinds of cool period elements to it. But Like a Dragon Ean is actually a remake of the spin-off that was originally released in 2014. I think it was exclusive to Japan back then, and that's something that confused me, because if Like a Dragon Ean is a remake of Like a Dragon Ean from 2014, was Like a Dragon a remake? That I'm not sure of, but either way, I absolutely love this series. I played a lot of the Yakuza games, but I did not play Like a Dragon. They really know what they're doing with this franchise, so if you want to check it out, now you can. Next on my list is F1 Manager 2023. Now, this is, of course, an in-depth team manager based on Formula One racing, and you really get to control every aspect of managing the team, from practice to qualifiers to races, the drivers, the staff, the cars, etc. Like a lot of these sports management games, the data is taken from live races and an attempt to replicate the conditions from those races throughout the 2023 season. So I always see these management games as kind of like old school fantasy sports, only you actually then get to play out the fantasy, if that makes sense. Either way, with this being another one of these kind of annual releases, you kind of know what you're getting into. So this is basically just to let you know that it's available on Game Pass now if you were looking forward to it. Then we've got Cities Skylines 2, the PC edition, okay? Because this is only available on PC at the time of recording this. Now, you probably already know what Cities Skylines is. It's a city builder. But with this follow-up, oh my goodness, it seems like the reception has not been great. It released with a lot of technical and graphical issues, as well as gripes about the gameplay itself, lack of certain animations, certain features. So I think if I had to describe the general feeling, it's that right now, it's kind of undercooked compared to City Skylines. So being that I'm just telling you that it exists, check it out for yourself and see if it really is as troubled as people are saying. Next, we have Dead Space, and this is not the original Dead Space that I am still playing over on Patreon. I did not abandon it, I swear. But this is the 2023 remake of Dead Space that was rebuilt from the ground up for next gen. It seems that it really does maintain a lot of that feel and atmosphere, but there may be differences that you notice if you're somebody who really loves the original game and has every bit of that game kind of imprinted on your mind, which I don't. Now, I do want to point out that it's available on Game Pass through EA Play. If you don't know what EA Play is, it's a subscription-based service that includes a library of games published by Electronic Arts. So EA partnered with Microsoft a few years ago to include EA Play with Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass for PC memberships, and that access launched back in 2020. I have Game Pass Ultimate, which gives me access to Game Pass titles released for console, PC, and cloud gaming. But for the sake of keeping things simple, my First 15 series covers everything coming to Game Pass without breaking down which plans or devices you need to play them. In this case, this is available through EA Play, so only if you have Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass for PC will you have access to it. But moving on from that, we've got Sirus Sam, Siberian Mayhem, and this is a standalone expansion to the Sirus Sam franchise, which was added to Game Pass earlier this summer. It has online co-op, and it pretty much is what it is. If you know what Sirus Sam is, it's a shooter, pretty over the top and fun. You know, there were a lot of comparisons, I feel like, over the years between Sirus Sam and things like Duke Nukem. Now, I really enjoyed Sirus Sam, and I did play, I think, maybe the first 2 or first 3 games. I just know that I definitely didn't play 4, and I believe Siberian Mayhem is a follow-up to 4. I haven't really seen negative feedback about the game. It seems like tons of people are enjoying it. So if you like the series, you're probably going to have fun with this one. Next, we're jumping way away from shooters into Merge and Blade, which is a fantasy-inspired puzzle game and an auto-battler. Now, if you don't know what that is, you set your characters or your team up on a grid, and then from there, they go ahead and attack. Either way, I'm not really a fan of them that much, and I've never played Merge and Blade. But if you do like that genre of games and you've never heard of this, you might as well check it out. Getting close to the end here, we've got Dyson Sphere Program, which is still a work in progress. I don't know if it's technically in early access, but it is still not done, okay? And this is a sci-fi simulator where you're building a galactic empire with some factory automation thrown in the mix. Now, full disclosure, this was not a recent addition. It was actually added to Game Pass last year, but I'm including it here because I just didn't have time to get to it, and I don't want you to miss out on it because it seems like a really awesome game with over 60 hours of content, and I don't know if or when it'll be leaving Game Pass, so I said, you know what? Even though I'm a year late telling you about it, I'm gonna tell you about it now. So if you like city builders but in space, and you like the whole automation shtick, go ahead and check it out. And again, reception of this has been pretty great, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. And finally, speaking of automation and also other works in progress, we've got Tectonica, which is a first-person factory automation game set on an alien world. Now, this one released a lot more recently, back in July, and it is cross-platform with online co-op for up to 4 players. And this one does seem to be more limited to factory building as opposed to including sim features like Dyson Sphere Program. So I guess you could say that these are games that take 2 different approaches to something that would probably still appeal to the same demographic. If you like those elements and you especially like it being first person, then Tectonica seems like a good bet. Now I'll post a link to everything I listed in the box so you can learn more about them. And like I always say, let me know if you've been looking forward to anything here or if you've already been playing one of these games and have something to say about it that others may want to know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here soon with more First 15.